And I remember like maybe a year or two into the corporate world, I got really into the dichotomy of work to live versus live to work. And now it's kind of laughable that I even questioned which two of those options is right or wrong.
Okay, I just had to pause that video for, well, I don't know if it's a rebuttal. It's not a rebuttal, but, well, here's the thing. I'm 53 years old. I've spent my whole life wired a certain way, or more to the point, I'm learning this work ethic that now seems like a yoke around my neck. I get that throwing that yoke off and embracing my self-worth as something more than the work I create and the time I spend with my butt in a seat creating revenue for bosses and clients isn't living in any meaningful sense. And no, I would not call myself happy in my work, but then, I mean, I've never felt happy in my work. That's just not a concept I've allowed myself to feel, like, ever. I found things I could do, and things that people were prepared to pay me to do, and I did them until they didn't pay me anymore, and then I found something else, and lather, rinse, repeat. And in between those times, I sweated and hustled to try and latch back onto the underbelly and make rent. That's how I've spent the entirety of my adult life. I was homeless for long enough that my fear of getting stuck sleeping outdoors again is gonna be with me for the rest of my life, even though it's been 30 plus years since that part of my life happened, and I now have something that looks like a career, and I have a family and all that. But that fear never, ever really goes away. But, and, the idea that there's a better way to go through life, that the work you do, the revenue you create, the contents of your outbox are the primary definition of who you are, and the value you add to society can be measured in dollars and cents, that might not be the best way to live your life, and in fact there are other ways to define yourself, define your success, define who you are as a person, is an exciting idea. I find the concept fascinating, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter. But what do I do with this skill, this drive to accomplish stuff? What do I do with it? I mean, great, kick the value of that skill out from under me. Give me a new mindset. That's great, I'm here for it, but I'm not gonna be happy sitting somewhere and daydreaming. Whatever I do instead of my job, instead of my career, is gonna consist of me putting my ass in a chair and working on it like my life depends on it, at least for the first little while. I know I'm not alone in thinking this, and I'm pretty sure it's not age specific. I mean, there are 16-year-olds who have been taught that work will set you free since infancy, and they're as hardwired as I am. There's gonna be a lot of unlearning to be done. Think of it this way. I'm on a highway. I've been on this highway my whole life. I've been told that my value as a person lies in how far down this highway I manage to get. There are plenty of cars on this highway. We're all going the same way, more or less. Some of the other cars on this road are beat up jalopies that are still faster than you, and some of them are sleek and shiny, and they go slower for whatever reason, and some of them are flying out of control, and they blow through everyone, and then you see them a few miles later in a smoldering heap on the side of the road. Better them than me, you think, and you keep driving, you keep going, because the going is the point. The ground is moving under your feet, and that's how you know you're alive. Now, there are off-ramps. Sure, there's off-ramps. They lead to other highways, to refueling stations and the like, but some of them don't lead to anywhere. They don't help you get back on the highway again. They don't help you get to your final destination, whatever that is. Usually the final destination isn't a place. It's just go as far as you can. That's what life is. I don't know what those off-ramps are for. And at this point, the idea of unlearning decades of having this moving platform under my feet that, as crap as it is, at least I can trust it, is, I don't know if scary is the right word. Certainly the idea of changing my life to suit that mindset sounds like more work than I can handle. Now, I get that for a lot of people, for maybe the vast majority of people, this way of life isn't great. It's not fun. Lily Tomlin once famously said that the problem with the rat race is that even if you win, you're still a rat. But in the absence of anything else, it's at least something. At least you're not living a life of quiet desperation. At least you're making a little bit of noise. And I know I'll never retire, not like previous generations got to. I'm gonna work until I can't work anymore, and then I hope I don't saddle my son with hospital bills he can't pay on my behalf. How's that for end-of-life goals, eh? So my point here is that this is a great idea. I'm 100% in favor of rejiggering our society to value something other than one's work output as the value of a person. And while there are a few things that still have to happen to get to this reality, especially in the US, having some kind of universal basic income, even at a supplemental level, would give a lot of people a lot of opportunity to do things with their lives that are better than the sweatshop mindset that I've lived under my whole life. And I'm guessing you have too. But I have to work out what that means and how to change into that mindset. I've got probably 10 to 15 years where I can work as hard as I've worked my whole life before my body starts to slow down a bit. That's the window where I can make this change. It might take all of that time, but having my ass in a seat and grinding away at a problem is kind of my one useful skill. Rendering that useless or invalid leaves me with nothing, and I can't have nothing to work for. If there's happiness at the other end of that off-ramp, if we can get there without me winding up sleeping under a bridge with my family, then I'll put some effort into changing to suit this new paradigm. I'm aware I'm only speaking for myself here, but this is what I have. This is what I bring to the table. I'm happy to use these skills differently, but this is all I've got. I could use some help.